And thank you all for taking the time today to meet with me. Hopefully everybody is healthy and happy and safe. And I'm hoping today as well that I use the time you've given me wisely. So today I'm going to be talking about account-based marketing and account-based selling. And really I can summarize this whole presentation is going to be about aligning sales and marketing teams and technology. Because really with account-based marketing and account-based selling, to get results, it requires an alignment of technology and it requires an alignment of people. And I'm going to talk about both of these things in the presentation today, and hopefully there's some good takeaways on what I present. I'll give you a couple of paths that are a path that we've taken ourselves. I'll give you an example of how we've done it, and I'll show you some of the results of our use of account-based marketing and selling. So really at the beginning here, I just want to come up with define what it is that we're talking about here. It's account-based marketing. And really, I think it's a focused effort of marketing and selling on a narrow set of companies. Right, and it is married, account-based marketing and account-based selling. They go hand in hand. We're trying to take our teams and work efficiently, align strategically to grow our business by focusing instead of with a shotgun sort of or a fishing net, so to speak, as we really laser focus on those companies that we are uniquely positioned to help. So why do we do it? Really, again, like I said, so it's about doing what we do great and accelerating it. It's about taking those things that we've had some good successes with in the past and trying to grow on this. And really, it's about trying to align our people, right? Because if our people are aligned, our technology is aligned, and we're focusing on those areas that we do well in. There's some great ways to optimize and coordinate the two, not only people as well, groups as well as technology. So if we think about just on the marketing side of things, if we look at account-based marketing versus traditional inbound, really the nice thing about the account-based marketing strategies is we know who we're targeting, right? Very clearly, it's well defined. It's like if our business is a big ship, it's hard to turn this ship. We know where we have momentum. We can control the direction. We can get everybody who is working on the ship to be aligned and what the message is internally. And the reality is, as far as where the ship is going, there's lots of data available to help us plan the route for the business, so to speak. On traditional inbound, really, we cannot control who engages with our marketing activities, right? It's if we're doing digital marketing, it's not like we can control who sees our ads, who sees our website, what search engine results pages we end up. We can have influence on it, but the reality is you get what you get, right? And on the marketing side of things, you know, it's marketing is measured by how they can accelerate the business, how many journeys they can start for prospects. And quite often, you know, if there's nothing else that they're bringing in, then, you know, they'll try to polish it up, so to speak. Say, oh, look at how nice this lead is. Come on, sales, go out there and try to close this business. But the reality is sometimes they uncover diamonds. In other words, boy, you know, I didn't know our products and solutions will actually be used in that vertical. Wow, that's awesome, you know, and so there is some diamonds that are uncovered during the traditional process. Now, really on the ABM side of things, sales and marketing are working together. It's strategic. There's plans, there's focus. It's a well-oiled machine. We have this big ship, so to speak. We have it pointed in a direction. But traditional, it's really reactive, right? It's if we're doing traditional inbound where we're fishing with nets and just responding to what we get, the strategy, like I mentioned, is very reactive. Now, all of us, like the poll that Eric presented, all of us have done some form of account-based marketing on the small scale. You know, examples of this are, you know, a salesperson who is, you know, thinking strategically, says, okay, I've got these 10 accounts. I'll walk down the hall, talk to a marketing person and say, hey, can you just, you know, can you send this message to these companies? You know, I have a bit of traction in them. I'm trying to grow the business in these accounts. Send out a message. And then the salesperson will walk back down the hall, wait for those marketing effort, the marketing person to, you know, squeeze a little bit of time in to target that list, and then the salesperson will respond to the prospects afterwards. Now, this is great. We get success from it. The challenge is it's ad hoc, right? And ad hoc is the challenges with ad hoc. One is it's good that there's something being done. Something is always better than nothing. But it's hard to scale, optimize, really gain momentum on the ad hoc, small scale account-based strategies. Now, really the idea of large scale account-based marketing and selling, it's really about taking large strategic steps, right? Picking the direction and actually making big leaps, putting all the chips in, so to speak, on a specific strategy and going for it. And because it is a bigger step, we will have better data from the results of the step, so we can actually have statistically relevant measurement as a result of the initiatives. And it enables us to actually use software to enable scaling of these strategies. So I'm going to talk now about steps that we've, in our experience, have taken in account-based marketing, and prescribe a path that we've used with some success in our account-based marketing and selling process. So I think the first step in any account-based marketing and selling strategy is to first of all, we need to investigate, right? We need to not who are we targeting, it's really about who should we be targeting from an account perspective. So definitely, you know, in our company, sales and marketing have targets, and they have, we pulse them quarterly, yearly, etc. So really it's about getting the salespeople and marketing people in the room and talking about these targets. And looking at, in the past, a bit of rear view mirror stuff and saying, okay, what do we got for data sources? Where is the data that we have today, right? Is it definitely, there's lots in our CRM, there's lots of data in the marketing automation system, the ad platforms, etc. And as far as who we've had success with in the past, is there big differences between the different verticals that we've been targeting, right? And there's been differences not only in what the companies look like, but also in our communication strategies with these companies. And really, back to, I've sort of hinted at that at the beginning, is, are there specific accounts or verticals that we really hit the ground running and done extremely well? Are we uniquely positioned in, right? Because really with this account-based marketing and selling, it's really about accelerating that which you do well already. It's not about, in my opinion, breaking significant new ground trying to find diamonds in the rough. It's about taking those paths that you've done well in and really finding a way to accelerate the ship, so to speak. So step two, and on the marketing side, I would say to, you know, talk to the sales folks, is to say, you know, build a list of companies that you think that are really, you know, pay dirt. This is where we'll be able to make significant ground on quickly over this period of time. Now, the sales folks, they're very keen on this. They know that's where the rubber meets the road. They're talking to people. It'd be very easy for them to come up with a sort of a dream team of accounts that they would like to be doing more business in or are doing more business in. And once we get that list, really it's about, now we sort of want to narrow it down, right? Because definitely our sales folks are very optimistic, and it's a case the reason they're successful is that they can see where the money is. But really, there's we don't want to boil the ocean here, so to speak, is let's just narrow it down to one of the verticals. Which is the one vertical out of all the ones that we're doing business in that the salespeople brought back in? What is the one that is really our sweet spot? The one that we as a company are uniquely positioned to do business in, right? And are there any accounts that have been a true slam dunk, right? The ones that, boy, we just, and this isn't just, the accounts that we did, we're doing great business because the CEO has plays golf with their CEO. That's not scalable. It's really, what is our product or service offering? What are the accounts that, you know what, they bought from us because it was so well aligned to what they're doing? And so it's really finding these accounts that we've done business in and why we are uniquely positioned to succeed. And then it's about, once we've got this narrowing down, we can expand it, right? So let's try to find like accounts that are similar to these ones that we've narrowed down in the previous two steps. So it's now we're trying to expand this very narrow vertical. What are the companies that fit this profile that we may not be doing business with or just starting to engage with, right? So now we expand this list and then start the process of building contact databases for outreach, right? And there's lots of ways to do this. We ourselves, we have our strategies, and I'm sure you have your strategies for your unique segment. But it's really now starts seeing what we can pull together from a database perspective. Now, no matter what the marketing and selling processes or strategies we have, let's put ourselves in the seat of the prospect here, right? It's really, it's a case that anything we do has to, every little step that we take in our process has to be accelerating and building trust with our prospects, right? So if we are targeting these accounts, the only way we can accelerate the buyer journeys and build trust is have well-targeted messaging and personalized engagement. Because yes, we have this messaging, we have to put the messaging in the context of our buyer personas that resonate. And I argue to do this, we really have a data problem. We have lots of smart people working in our companies, but really we've got to wrestle this data problem that is actually the enemy. Is we have too much data. There's a lot of mess, and we cannot get well-targeted messaging and personalized engagement unless we solve the data problem. So step 3 is about data. It's about gathering data. And we've got to think about the accelerating trust and getting it right. Is for our target accounts, pull in their names, of course, their logos, their categories, whatever data we can collect on these target accounts. And then we've got to align what our offering is that is uniquely positioned for these accounts, right? For this specific vertical. Start formulating the pitch or the messaging for this narrow vertical. And the cleaner the data we get, and the more accurate we get this process, then the better our messaging is going to be, the better the resonation is, the better we're going to resonate with our buyer personas. So really, it's collecting data and then working through the cleansing of this data. Now, speaking of data, I'm just going to walk through this, and it's with respect to the buyer journey or the account or sales funnel. So if we look on the right here, we have our target accounts. These are the ones that we are not engaged with. A little bit further down the funnel are these accounts that we are already engaged with in some fashion. And then there's those accounts that we actually have open opportunities with and we're engaging with. And then the ones that we've done business with, it's really a cross-sell, upsell, account penetration process. Now, if we overlay the data on, or I should say, the data sources and the data types on this funnel, it reveals some things that I think we have to reflect on in this process. So definitely the first level of data is our research data or speculative metadata, right? This is descriptive data on, for example, the target accounts that we are trying to reach. So the sources for this, or the places where we end up storing this data or have this data today, is we might be collecting it in reports. We might actually, some bigger companies will hire consultants to do some investigation to bring in data, so it ends up in slide decks and shelf reports and spreadsheets. But there's also some good queryable data inside our marketing automation systems, our marketing systems, and our sales systems. So this data here, it's really, arguably it is speculative, right? Because it's it's publicly available. We all know what data is available on our own companies, and we know the accuracy of it. We don't spend a lot of time making sure that every piece of data out there on our own companies is flawless. And then, excuse me, and then the next layer of data is with those that we were actually engaged with. So now if we're engaged with these prospect accounts, we have a new type of data, which is behavioral data. So these prospects are actually engaging with us. They're touching our website. They're engaging with our emails. They're clicking our ads. So these are actions that these people are actually taking. So this data is typically resides, if you've got a marketing automation system, in the marketing automation system. It could be in the CRM, definitely in places like Google Analytics, your accounting systems, your ad platforms, etc. So this is where prospects are doing stuff, right? And we can measure and observe this behavioral data. And finally, this is the engagement data. This is direct engagement, people talking to people. If we've got opportunities, our salespeople are talking to somebody inside our target accounts, right? And this data is as close to factual, because people are typically not going to mislead, right? If you're talking to people, it's a case they have their problems that they're trying to solve with your product and solution, and they're engaging with your people. So arguably, this data is factual. And this data is most often in the CRM, but it also can be in your phone call tracking software, email software, chat software, social software, etc. So really, if we think about these layers of data, clearly we need some way to ensure this data flows so that our research data is updated, our speculative data, I should say, our inference data, and we have this flowing of data so that we as a company can execute, right? So it's a bit technical here. I'll pull it back a little bit. So now the next phase is really about synchronizing the dance moves. It's about getting our salespeople and our marketing folks to be connected closer, right? And we ourselves as a company, we do this with regular pulse meetings. We have strategic meetings. We're trying to maintain, we use software like Slack to have these folks communicating on a regular basis. So the more we can communicate internally, the less we are going to be stepping on each other's toes, right? So it's a case that the people need to be talking, but we also have to have our software that each of these groups of people, sales and marketing, are using also communicating. So if we look at the marketing side of things, if this is what your marketing strategy looks like from a tool set perspective, and this is not unique. I think a lot of companies are in a situation on the marketing side where they have a whole bunch of software that they're using to solve specific problems. So the problem with this picture is actually not the software. The problem with this picture is what's missing. And what's missing in this picture is actually the prospect, right? And the problem with that is the prospect is spread out amongst all the different tools. So it becomes very difficult for us as marketers to understand what's actually working, capture the data, have the data flow through our system, and there's no buyer journey. It's really hard to visualize this buyer journey. And of course, we end up wasting time through the entire process by bouncing around between the software apps. So I think if we look at a step back, I think a more sensible approach, the salespeople have it. Like the salespeople are typically engaged with a CRM. And if they're not engaged in a CRM, they should be engaged in a CRM, right? Usually the most productive salespeople are working inside one piece of software that is really helping them project manage opportunities, right? Typically, the salespeople are not juggling a whole bunch of software. They have one piece of software, they log in, they do their job. And arguably, this same story should be the case for marketers. And that story, that piece of software is the marketing automation system. So with us, clearly, we're using our own software. Active Demand is a marketing automation system. And really this if we think about how these pieces of software play out, is that Active Demand is the software used by marketers for applying pressure to a population of people to create sales ready leads. It's the system of record for everybody who is not yet ready for sales engagement. And once the prospects respond favorably, they will cross this boundary from the lead to opportunity, and we'll pass it off to sales, and we will pass it off to the CRM. So Active Demand, it integrates natively with many CRMs. So really Active Demand is a marketing system, and the salespeople are using a sales system. We're not dictating which sales system that folks use. The reality is, though, we integrate with these sales systems, and we have a nice way of crossing this boundary and ensuring the data that we collect is passed off to the CRM. But regardless of what CRM you're using, anything that happens once it's in the CRM, arguably the CRM must become the system of record. It must become the data master. And anything that happens in the CRM needs to be immediately reflected into your marketing system. So if you're taking the approach of using a marketing automation platform, this is very easy because you're not passing a bunch of data between a whole bunch of software. It's really the marketing system and the sales system, and choosing a path where both of these two, there's a sensible approach where this is the data master here, this is the data master here. So really the takeaway here is you have to think about the data and the data flow. Capturing accurate data is critical to building well-targeted messages, building trust, etc. And your sales and marketing teams as people need to be talking, and your sales and marketing systems, there needs to be a well-documented or well-thought-out strategy of how the data is flowing between these systems, and the integration has to be absolutely outstanding. So step number 4 is really about building the sequences or the paths, right? Is use the buyer persona to determine which channels on the marketing side best fits communicating with this channel, right? So there's different types of communications. There's email, there's always on advertising like display ads, this type of stuff, or search engine ads, this type of stuff. And really it's not about building a well-defined, well, the prospect's going to start here, then the prospect's going to move here, then the prospect's going to move here. We really have to think about when we're targeting these accounts, these accounts are in different stages of their problem solving, right? Some of the accounts haven't even realized that they have a problem that you can uniquely solve. Other ones are, my God, we have a problem, and your company is uniquely positioned to help it, and they're just right now searching for solutions. Other ones are about to buy. So when you're doing you're defining your stages of the buyer journey, I argue, think about it in the terms of what is the prospects doing that indicates to you as a company that they are in this specific stage of the buyer journey. And if we take this signal-based approach to defining the stages, then really our strategy is, instead of thinking of, okay, let's look at the whole journey, let's look at each individual stage and apply a pressure that helps that buyer move to the next stage. So it's not really thinking, so if you think about, you know, in our case, it's somebody signs up for a trial, right? Who cares about how they got there? If we have a bunch of people that are in the stage of they've signed up for a trial, all of our effort is to move them to the next stage. So the next stage is not buy. The next stage is, you know, get a live demonstration, right? So all of our strategies we allow with this approach of looking at the individual stages of the buying process is once you're focusing on that one stage and put all of your effort on moving somebody to the next stage, then who cares how they got there, right? They can come in and all the accounts, no matter how you're targeting, will just flow into the appropriate stage, and your marketing and sales efforts will all be focused on moving the person to the next stage. And really, in any of our processes, think of the emotions that the prospects are going through at that stage, right? So if it's a case that they're really high funnel, they don't even know they have a problem, the emotions are going to be very different than, you know, we're about to make a buying decision. Whether your product is entering at the last minute or they've been with you through the entire buyer process, think of the emotions that are relevant to each of the stages, and then apply the appropriate communications and pressure at those stages. Next is analyze, right? This is really watching how people, not stats, people, how people are actually progressing, right? So it's a case that talk to your salespeople, right? And see, you know, what's the conversation like with, and who are you talking to right now? And what stage of the buying process are you? So sample people at each of the buying processes and investigate what these people are doing, right? As opposed to just, because, you know, it could be, if we just think about stats, right? If we're just in Google Analytics and numbers and probabilities, the reality is that the stats lie. You have to get right down to the people and investigate what the people are doing and make conclusions, because you might have to make adjustments to your strategies if you're getting way too many people in this stage that truly aren't in that stage. So investigate people, right? And then now stepping back is that back to what I said before is building trust, is if we've investigated individual people and we've got our strategy of moving people through these buying processes, really it's about personalization, right? Is trying to get the marketing and communications and sales communications targeting these people at the specific stage of the buyer journey with personal messages that align with them. And try to dynamically shorten the journey where possible. Like if we think about quite often, you know, if somebody comes to our website, they click an ad, they browse around, they do a bunch of stuff, and then they leave, the next time they come to the website, why are we making them go through that entire process again? Right? And it's a case that we do this already on the sales side, is instead of, you know, bouncing a prospect around different salespeople, is the salesperson maintains a relationship with an account or a prospect in an account for an opportunity so that they have the context of where they are in the buying process. And they use their sales CRM to project manage this process. Marketing, you have to think the same way, in my opinion. Right? Is you've always got to find ways to, or try to find ways to ensure that if this prospect returns, if we're asking them to click 15 times to get back to where they were before, you know, it's we're going to lose. Nobody has that kind of patience. So step 5, it's really about, I would say, instead of just, you know, opening the floodgates, is what we typically do is, if we're going to do an account-based marketing strategies, we'll start with a pilot, right? We'll pick 1 or 2 accounts. We'll have a small team on the marketing side, a couple of the sales reps that are well engaged with these accounts, and start a process. And once we've done a little bit of measurement and we start getting some success and we've learned from some of this stuff, is really what we're going to do is we're going to optimize, get some stability, and then once we've got the stability and we believe we have a blueprint for success, then we start turning up the volume. right? We start adding in more accounts that are, again, similar to the accounts that we targeted at the beginning. And then we just keep on increasing the velocity, adding more salespeople into the process. And then we start accelerating this across several accounts. And now we're all focusing on this. Then we think about, will this process work again for some similar segment that we're having success in? So it's really about defining the blueprints for success and then taking that blueprint and executing on it. Start building lots of houses with this fantastic blueprint. So those are the steps, and I'm going to walk through, it's all theory. I'm just going to walk through how we've done it ourselves and show you an example of how we follow these steps and the process we went through for these steps and the results that we saw. So our product, and so the product that we're doing we're using to in this example is clearly ours. Active Demand is a marketing automation system. It's an integrated marketing platform. And really what the product is, it's a full stack marketing system that tracks the entire buyer journey, and it has a set of tools that help us accelerate these buyer journeys. So we have a full social engagement stack, email marketing stack. I'm going to talk a bit about this: dynamic content, landing pages, appointment scheduling, obviously automation and sequencing, and call tracking. Now, with this platform, there's lots of use cases for it. There's lots of different verticals. There's lots of different companies that can benefit from a system like this. But for us, going through this process, the first step for us is investigation. So what companies have we had early success with and that we are uniquely positioned to do great business in? And for us in this example, the target we had was marketing agencies, right? Because marketing agencies, they typically are marketing to a large fleet of clients, and they arguably need infrastructure to accelerate buyer journeys at scale. So for us, yeah, have we had success with existing successes with agencies? Yeah, we've been doing business with agencies around the globe for many years. So yes, it's a great segment for us. So we went and analyzed our database, see what we had from a data perspective, talked to our salespeople, which is the what is the pitch that works well, what are the types of agencies that we've done extremely well with, and start pulling this stuff together on the investigation side. Step two, build the target account list. We went and talked to our sales folks and our marketing folks. We have like 60,000 agency domains, unique domains of agencies that are doing business around the globe. It's a huge list. So step two is reduce the list, right? Back to what I mentioned is narrow the focus. Which of these agencies are we uniquely positioned to help? And for us in this example, it was digital-focused, retainer-focused agencies. Then what we did is expand the list, start looking within our database and external sources to see if we can find companies that match this narrow profile. Then we started building out our database through public sources, etc. Step three, start the data enrichment, right? Collecting our data. So within Active Demand, we can we have native integrations for data enrichment. So we'll pull the logos, we'll pull the tech stacks that people use, the size of the company, what the revenue is, all of this type of stuff. It's a case, and we start doing contact acquisition, both through paid advertisements and contact aggregators. Then it's step four is building out our sales and marketing sequences, right? It's looking at the stages of our buyer process, which promotions will have the unique success in each of the different verticals, not verticals, but I should say stages of the buyer journey and the specific buyer personas and as well the specific countries. Then we started building dynamic content, our ad targeting, and our sales and marketing sequences. So really it's about optimizing our sales scripts and how we're going to process the leads as they come in. And then really, if we look at our website, we dog food our own software. A unique capability of Active Demand is our ability to dynamically adapt a website advertisements and communications to the buyer persona and the stage of the buyer journey. So on the website, we have what's called inline dynamic content. So we can dynamically adapt our hero banners, different things on our website to the buyer persona. We also have overlays and tooltips and push downs and even dynamic advertisements, right? So we can adjust ads in real time based on the buyer persona. And we use it sparingly, but there is the case where we also will use our pop-up system as well, because there are situations where a pop-up actually is successful. So in this case, with the targeting of agencies, so here's an example, this one agency, TopDraw. So Adriel is the president of TopDraw, and if we can get Adriel to our website, the website is going to automatically adapt to Adriel. We'll inject his logo onto the website. We will pitch, because Adriel in this case doesn't have our agency portal. So the website, the call to action, the hero banner that Adriel will see is very personalized. We put his logo here, and where he is in the stage of the buyer journey, this call to action says he does not have a trial yet. And of course, as he browses around, he's going to start seeing little tooltips and use our overlays to as well try to get Adriel to take the next step. So in this case, we don't care how Adriel got to the website. If he's in this stage of the buyer journey, everything we're doing is try to get them to move to the next stage of the buyer journey. The next stage in the buyer journey in this example is sign up for a trial, right? So everything he does, every time he comes to the website, he's going to be really seeing, this very personal engagement. Even the reports are going to show his logo and his domain. But everything he's doing, if you look here on the call to actions, all the call to actions on our website are going to be the same. Sign up for a trial. Even the ads that he's going to see are going to be saying, hey, you're an agency, go sign up for a trial. So we're going to use behavioral targeting to, one is if somebody comes, let's say we don't know it was Adriel, and he comes in and starts looking at pages that are more aligned with our agency pitch, we will automatically adapt the website and advertisements to that person as if they're an agency. And so we're using our behavioral targeting, like the pages they visited, the time they've been on the site, if they chat with our staff on chat, phone conversations, anything that the prospects are doing, active demand is tracking them. And we're adapting our advertisements and our website to these people. Like I said, is that once we get the person to sign up for a trial, then we'll start automatically shifting the advertisements, the website, and communications to move them to the next stage. So in our case, the next stage is book a demo. So if it's a case that they've signed up for a trial, we're going to change the website. So now, if Adriel in this case did take the next step, and really we don't care how Adriel took how he took the next step, what marketing activities got him to take the next step. If he signs up for a trial, regardless of how he got there, all of our strategies are about getting him to the next step. And the next step in our buyer journey is book a demonstration. So the website is going to change, the pitch, the advertisements, the tooltips, everything that any engagement Adriel has, even our advertisements are all going to be pushing Adriel to go book a demo. So we'll automatically pull Adriel out of our retargeting ads that are pitching to him to sign up for a trial and push him into a new audience that is going to be book a demo. So really, anytime Adriel engages with us, everything we're doing is trying to get him to the next stage. So we don't care how we got there. He signed up for a trial, the next stage is book a demo. Everything's going to focus on getting him to the next stage after that. So the results of this is, through this strategy, we've seen a 200% lift in conversion rates, 300% increase in page depth, and a 400% increase in session length. And we can actually get this real data from people, right? This isn't just stats we pulled out of Google Analytics. we can actually look at the buyer journeys that we've been targeting for individual people and get real stats as a result of this. So this is not speculation. This is real data we've collected as a result of doing account-based marketing. So really, the best practices here, I think, is one is keep it simple, right? It's a case that don't try to boil the ocean and think about accounts that you would love to do business with, even though you've never tackled one of these things. You know, it's a case that look at the companies look at what you're doing well at today. Look at the accounts that you've got you've got strong momentum, and it isn't just coincidence that got you there. It's because you were uniquely positioned to actually accelerate in that business. And then start thinking about the data process. Do simple pilots, optimize and analyze the results, and then start scaling. But really, you've got to keep, and this is true for all marketing and all selling, what's in it for me? You got to think about the prospect. What's their state of mind? What's their emotional state in each stage of the buyer journey, and help them through this process. You have to deliver value. So that's it. Hopefully, I've introduced some concepts of account-based marketing and account-based selling, and hopefully I've shown you that it's definitely working for us. And definitely this type of strategy hopefully will bring your sales and marketing teams closer together and provide more alignment inside your organization.